I just hate this question. Anytime someone asks me this question, I want to run away. Tell me about yourself. Now, the sad part is that this is the question that most people get asked in interviews or when you meet someone in a networking. Tell me about yourself. And it is so hard to answer this question in a way that makes a sense. So let's learn together a step-by-step approach of answering this question. Welcome to our YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all things professional communication. My name is Anjali, and today I want to share with you a very practical, logical, and a methodical way, yet a very way that connects with your audience to be able to answer this question. Tell me about yourself. Okay, so many years ago, I did a course called Think on Your Feet. Think on Your Feet. In this course, I learned the power of threes. So how do you structure your thoughts in threes? Yesterday, today, tomorrow, primary, secondary, tertiary, local, regional, global. A lot of things are structured in three in our world. Even there is a story called Three Little Pigs. Now, I used that, the structure of three, plus my own knowledge in storytelling, because I am an author of a book called Strategic Storytelling. I combined the two and I came up with a response to this question, which I hated being asked. Tell me about yourself. So get your pen, get your paper, and then let's start building that. So the first part of this, we're going to learn from Think on Your Feet. So what I want you to do is to take a piece of paper, get a pen, or just type in your computer. Write down three things: broadly, specifically, and passion/specific advantage. Okay, one more time. Write down broadly, write down specifically, then write down passion/specific advantage or a competitive advantage. Okay, now I'm going to break this down for you. Now, remember, the end goal is if someone asks me, tell me about yourself, how do I respond to this? Now, you've got broadly, specifically, passion/specific or a competitive advantage. We have created blocks of threes. Remember, I told you Think on Your Feet is about structuring it in threes. So we've created a block of three. Now, in broadly, I want you to put broad things about your career, right? So you can say, over the last 10 years, I have been working in FMCG in Southeast Asian region. Or you can say that I just graduated with a computer science degree, and now I have just started my career in an IT firm. Okay, so broadly, like for example, for myself, I would say over the last 25 years, I have primarily been in roles within the communications industry in India, Singapore, and Australia. So got it? Broadly. So this is like we're creating a taxi before your story's takeoff takes place, okay? So you're not yet telling your story when people say, tell me about yourself, but you're creating a taxi, like a plane taxis before it takes off. So we're creating the taxi, we're making space. So broadly, over the last 10 years, I've had variety of careers within different industries, but the one that I have really worked the longest in is information technology, okay? Or I have a computer science degree, and over the last 10 years, I've been working in information technology in India, working for large MNCs. Okay, so you give a broad sort of a thing. Then you come to specifically. Very specifically, what are you doing right now, right? So you can say, broadly, over the last 25 years, I have been working in the communications industry in India, Singapore, and Australia, which is for me. Very specifically, over the last 10 years, I have founded a practice called Narrative, the Business of Stories, specializing in organizational storytelling. Okay, so what are you doing right now? Right now, I work as a product manager for IBM, Microsoft, whatever, right? Right now, I work as a data scientist for company ABC. If you want to showcase your leadership portfolio here, you can also say, Specifically, I'm working as the product manager leading a team of 5 for company ABC. So you've come from broadly now to specifically. Okay, got that? So we've done 2 out of the 3. So we've done broadly, we've done specifically. Now, the last part is where most of our work will go in. And we are just about to take off now. So our plane was taxiing, our story plane. If somebody asks us, tell me about yourself, our story plane was taxiing, and it's just about to take off now. So when it's just about to take off, you're going to talk about, however, in the work that I do, what is it that I am really an expert in, or I have a competitive advantage or a specific advantage in. Like, I'm so good at that. Now, I want you to remember that if you say, however, my specific advantage is, nobody will understand what the hell that means. So please don't use your specific advantage or competitive advantage. I'm going to tell you what that is and how we frame that. But the reason why I originally told you put passion/competitive specific advantage is because the way you say it is, however, what I'm passionate about. Okay? If you are a confident person, you can also say what I specialize in. But a lot of the people, especially within the Asian context, find it really difficult to say what I specialize in, what my expertise is. It sounds like brag to them. So get rid of it if it doesn't work for you. Just say what I'm passionate about, okay? So say what I'm passionate about is, now you have to think hard about within your product, within your portfolio of work, what is it that you are really good at, better than anybody else? Other people find it like a chore, but you can actually do it very, very comfortably. Now, I learned this term, the specific advantage or competitive advantage, or your specific knowledge, by Naval Ravikant in his book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which is actually not a book he's written, but somebody has collected all his tweets and whatever he says and created a book. I'm going to put that book cover here for you, and I'll show you a small clip in which he explains what exactly your specific knowledge means. So let's have a look.
When I talk about specific knowledge, I talk about what I'm basically saying is figure out what is it that you were doing as a kid or as a teenager almost effortlessly that you didn't even consider a skill, but people around you notice, like your mother would know, your best friend growing up would know. And to give you examples of what it could be sales skills, it could be that you were just musically talented and you just had the ability to pick up any instrument. It could be that you had an obsessive personality, so you would dive into things and learn them very quickly. It could be that you had a love for science fiction, so you were into sci-fi, you were into reading, which means that you can absorb lots of knowledge very quickly. It could have been you were playing a lot of games, so you actually understand game theory pretty well. It could even be, you were out there gossiping and digging into your friend network, and that might make you into a very interesting kind of journalist. But specific knowledge is sort of this weird combination of unique traits from your DNA combined with your unique upbringing and your response to it. And it's almost baked into your personality and your identity.
Okay, so now you see, he talks about your specific knowledge often comes from your passions, right? Things that you're really good at. Now, I'll give you an example of this. Recently, I was watching a documentary on Netflix called Manhunt, in which one of the CIA analysts says that when she was young, she was really good at puzzles, right? She was able to take things from here, there, everywhere, and put them all together. So that's like a passion, right? Like you enjoy playing puzzles and solving puzzles. She then says that in her professional life, she didn't know that that ability to do that will play such a big role in her professional life when she was one of the analysts responsible for finding Osama bin Laden, which is what is covered in this documentary. Now, it is important you understand that your specific knowledge can come out of your passion, But eventually, in a professional space, it has to be something that you are particularly good at, right? For example, for me, I would say that many people can talk about storytelling, organizational storytelling, in like how do you motivate, how do you inspire, how do you engage, even influence. But very few people know how to take a story and use it as a data source to find insights from the organization. Like, what is happening in this organization? Why is a certain product not working? Why is the leadership failing? Why we are not able to get diversity, equity, and inclusion? That is my specific knowledge, right? Like, I enjoy doing it so much and I'm so passionate about it. In fact, I have a full case study of a similar project in this book, one of the last chapters. So that is my specific knowledge that I'm really good at. So I will say broadly, I've been working within the communications industry for the last 25 years in Singapore, India, and Australia. Very specifically, right now, I run a story practice called Narrative, the Business of Stories, which specializes in organizational storytelling. But what I'm passionate about is a story's ability to find insights to change cultures within organization. So you've got the final part. Now, we may think that I can stop there. However, if you just stop there, the top part, no one will understand. They might think you speak really well because you will do it fluently, but they will not get what that final part is. Now, in that final part is the part where you have to tell a minimal story. Give them a tiny little story that shows to them how you have lived that passion or a specific knowledge. So I often say, for example, in the year 2018 and 19, I went to Hiroshima, Japan, where I used stories as a tool to find out why this factory in Hiroshima was not able to have diversity, equity, and inclusion. And once I used stories as a tool to bring more inclusion into the factory, this factory became one of the best places to work in Japan, right? So you can kind of give a small, minimal example of a time where you have lived your specific knowledge. So let's do a quick revision. We started with broadly, then we went into specifically, then we said, what is my passion or my specific knowledge, right? For my specific knowledge or passion, I have to attach a small example, okay? So when you put all of this together, how does it sound? One final try for you, okay? Somebody asks me, tell me about yourself. I don't dread that question anymore. I will say, well, broadly, I've been within the communications industry for the last 25 years, and I've had experience of working in India, Singapore, Australia. But very specifically, in the last 10 years, I've been focused on running my own story practice called Narrative, the Business of Stories. We're based in Singapore, and we specialize in organizational storytelling. But you know, my passion really is in being able to find insights from stories. So a lot of people use stories for inspiration and motivation and engagement, but I love using stories to find out what is going on in an organization. For example, in the year 2018, I spent a very long time in Hiroshima, Japan, in a factory to figure out why this factory was not succeeding with any of its diversity, equity, and inclusion. Why were people not happy with the lack of diversity, equity, and inclusion? And after running that project for close to a 12-month period, that factory became one of the best places to work in Japan. So that's who I am. If you like what you heard, subscribe with the button, clicking the button below, because in this channel, we teach you all practical things about communicating and telling your story. Stay storied.